everyone, and welcome to Taking Up Space with Jordan. I'm your host, Jordan, and if you're new here, I'm so happy to have you. I'm so glad you found this little corner of the internet because I created this space to help empower women to follow their dreams and live life guilt-free, one conversation at a time. And today's conversation is actually all about limiting beliefs, especially those deep ones that have been tucked away inside of us for so long that they can feel like they're just part of who we are. But spoiler alert, they're actually not. And that's the good news. Limiting beliefs are learned. They come from our families, our communities, the world around us. And if they're learned, fantastic news, means they can be unlearned too. So if you've ever caught yourself thinking, that's great for her, but I could never do that, or good things just don't happen for me, you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now listening to this episode. Because today we're going to be talking about how to notice those beliefs when they show up, how to get curious about them instead of running away from them, and finally, how to start rewriting stories that have been holding you back. If you're ready to shed what doesn't fit you anymore, let's go ahead and build something new, so keep listening. So the reason that I wanted to talk about limiting beliefs and bring this conversation back up is limiting beliefs is actually one of the 5 pillars in my idea of building your dream life. The 5 pillars are boundaries, personal power, overcoming limiting beliefs, community, and self-trust. I truly, truly, in my heart of hearts, believe that when you strengthen all 5 of these areas, you actually create the foundation that you need to build the life that you actually love. If you want to go deeper, I actually have a whole course that walks you through each pillar, and you can check that out on my website at www.takingupspacewithjordan.com, or you can just go and check out the link below in the show notes. Now, if you're new here or need a refresher, because I have talked about limiting beliefs before, limiting beliefs are the ideas that we hold about ourselves as well as the world, and they place unnecessary limits on what's possible for us. They might sound like good things don't happen for me, or I'm just not lucky like them. You can see how it's limiting yourself. You can see how it's saying, I'm not lucky. It's basically telling a story that you believe in your heart of hearts. And maybe you haven't said something like this. Maybe you've heard a friend or a family member say that they're cursed or something. That can also be a limiting belief. These beliefs keep us stuck in our comfort zones, in these little protective boxes that feel safe, but in reality, they're not, because they're holding us back from our full potential. And here's the thing, it's a hard truth, but growth doesn't happen in this tiny little box. The moment you start to push past those doors in that box, those limiting beliefs, they can and they will get loud. They're going to scream at you. They're going to act like there's danger, that there's a threat, when really you're just expanding your world. You're opening the door to more and you're saying yes, and that can feel terrifying. And remember though, these beliefs can be learned, and these beliefs can be unlearned. We don't come into this world believing that we can't do something, that we're not meant for greatness, that we don't deserve success or love or happiness or any of those things. We are taught those things. We're taught these ideas, hopefully and often unintentionally, by our parents, our environment, or the world around us. And as we grow, we shape those ideas and we hold on to some and we let go of others, but they can still show up when we're stepping into something new. So it's really important to notice when your limiting beliefs are popping up, because when you can spot them, you can challenge them. And then you can open your mind to more possibilities than you ever could have imagined. So what we're going to do is actually break down how to identify a limiting belief. So the next time that you find yourself holding yourself back, you can actually go ahead, notice it, and challenge it. So let's dive into that. If you listened to this podcast before, you know I'm a huge proponent of journaling. It's my number one tool for working through problems and uncovering what's really going on beneath the surface. And today, I want to be brave, and I actually want to share a couple of real life journal entries, because I think it's important that people know that I don't always have everything together, that I too have limiting beliefs, and I'm growing and creating my own dream life with y'all. So please, a moment of vulnerability and a moment of sensitivity is maybe the best word to use here. So real quick, if you're watching this on YouTube or on Spotify, just wanted to show that I am a big proponent of journaling. This is my 3rd journal in the past year. And just to show that these are real journals, this is all of my words, all of my little thoughts on these pages. You can kind of see the kind of journal I go for as well. But this is a total tangent and sidebar. I just wanted to show off because I'm super impressed with all my thoughts. But this is my current journal. just this plain little blue. This was from June 15th, so this is pretty recent. I'm definitely in my feelings tonight. I'm just tired of being alone and having to figure it out all on my own. I'm always alone. I'm always on the end of the aisle. I'm always the one taking the front seat when we take a lift. I'm always the one that no one will want me long term. I always believe this. I don't know how to make myself desirable. Maybe that's the right word. I don't know. I feel like I just don't know what I need to do to get the right person's attention. When can I find someone to make coffee for me, to be the person for me? I don't want to be saved, but I do want to be chosen. Someone happy to be my person. I don't even know what that feels like because the last person that I thought had chosen me lied to me. So that wasn't real. I just need someone to give me a chance. So that was from June 15th. The next day, I had therapy and I decided to bring this up to my therapist because I was realizing that there was a lot more there that needed to be uncovered. And I think a lot of the times when we uncover limiting beliefs, we don't realize that it's actually attached to a deep open wound that we've had for a long time. And we've just learned to ignore it. We've swept it under the rug and not forgotten it, but been too ashamed to bring it up because we didn't want to, in my case, look like a pick me girl or want to say the words out loud of, I want someone to choose me. What's so wrong with that? But our brain does this fascinating thing where when it realizes that we've healed the other parts and we've healed the other hurts and pains, that it is now a safe time to uncover and expose the ones that are deeper rooted. That's what this pain was for me. A deep wound from childhood, one that I had been carrying with me for so long now that I had nothing else to focus on. My body and my mind said it was time. Like I needed to do this because I was going to keep self-sabotaging and keep setting myself up for failure if I didn't do this, because this was such a deeply ingrained belief. And so later, my therapist told me, she's like, I want you to go back and do your journaling and work through this problem now. We've talked about it in therapy. And so what I wrote, because I still want to share some of these journal entries with you guys, is admitting the chosen piece in therapy, it sucked. But admitting that feeling like I've never been chosen, and when I have, it gets taken away, it hurt to admit it out loud. The shame of it, but I have a better idea now of where it was coming from. Some childhood part of me was trying to find that chosen feeling from a child parent standpoint. I've always wanted security, but if I could choose someone, who would it be? I don't know, and that's scary. This part of my life has no real path, and that's a little terrifying. Not knowing what to do next, only that I have to do something. I have to remember that I'm choosing me. It's my story, and sometimes it's really hard and maybe a little unclear. But if I put me first, if I keep trying, it will work out. It will be okay because not only can I take care of me, but I can also choose me. So, in case I wasn't clear, the limiting belief or the wound was that no one will choose me ever. And people that have chosen me, they leave. And this pain was something that I had been holding on to for years. It was such an old wound. And I was so ashamed to talk about it, to bring it up, because I didn't, like I said, want to be a pick me girl. But no, I just wanted someone to choose me, and I had to choose them back. Not out of necessity, but for love and compassion. Growing up, I was always the odd one out, didn't quite fit in a lot of spaces. In school, I was usually one of the only girls of color. They didn't have the same products for hair that they do now, so I was a frisball. I was an angry child, and that translated. And as I got older, the rejection and the shame, they stuck with me, and that resulted in me actually marrying someone that in the end didn't really love me in the way that I deserved either. A lot of the times our brains try to give evidence to these limiting beliefs, but we have to remember that this belief is based out of fear, out of shame, and out of guilt. These limiting beliefs are always going to be attached to a childhood wound, especially those deep held beliefs. When I was journaling, I didn't realize that I was uncovering this momentous wound, this momentous belief about myself. Not only did I want to be chosen, but I also believed that no one would choose me. I was creating my own sabotaging loop, but I want to be clear about something. Identifying a limiting belief doesn't usually happen in an instant. It happens in layers, and your body and your emotions are often going to be the first clues. For me, the first sign was this unexpected wave of deep sadness. Even when I was reading the journal, even though I've been working through this limiting belief in therapy and on my own, I was still stumbling over those words that I was reading because there is still that little bit of shame. There is still that little bit of guilt that how can I share this and think it's going to be okay. And again, that's coming from a place of fear. And what I realized is that sinking feeling, that deep sadness, it told me that I was carrying something old and something heavy. And then I noticed that there was this feeling of like a wet blanket on my body that was too heavy to shrug off. You know, when you wash the comforter and it's still damp in places and it's so heavy and it just feels gross, even though you know it's clean, you're just like, I don't want this on me. That's the feeling I was getting around my body. And I started to have a little bit of that while I was reading because these things don't just go away. And I want to be so clear. You have to work through them. You have to identify them, which leads me to the next part. There's going to be mental resistance. My brain was immediately trying to reject what I was realizing when I was doing my journaling session back in June. A part of me wanted to slam the journal shut and say, nope, you're being dramatic, move on. I even said that bit at the beginning where I was like, oh, I'm definitely in my feelings tonight. I was shaming myself for feeling emotions, for feeling deep emotions that I just wasn't ready to explore yet in that moment. Another clue, though, is we need to listen for echoes of this belief in your thoughts or in your memories. For me, a lot of the times this sounds like, of course she got chosen. They won't like me, so why even put myself out there? You're not going to be successful. Look, you're not going to be successful like them. People don't pick you. When you start hearing these patterns, that's your sign that a limiting belief is showing up. So if you're wondering, how do I identify my own? You pay attention. Pay attention to your emotions. Do certain situations trigger a strong emotional response that feels bigger than the moment? Your body. Do you feel tension, buzziness, heaviness, dread? And finally, your thoughts. Do you hear these repeated phrases that are making you feel small or undeserving? Once you learn to spot these, you can actually start to unpack them on your own or with a therapist, because I want to be so clear. When we realize that we are uncovering something that is too deep, we need help. It's like those 1-800s like call before you dig or something, those advertisements so you don't hit a pipe. When you hit a pipe, the flooding comes and there's a lot of damage and no one knows what to do, and you have to call for help in the end anyways. So call for help sooner rather than later. I brought it to my therapist so that I could process it safely and start rewriting the stories that I had been telling myself. So I want you to take a moment today. I want you to ask yourself, what beliefs might be holding me back from feeling worthy or even chosen? And when they pop up, know that that's the beginning. This is not the end. This is not where your story ends. This is not going to be how it just is, which also, that's a limiting belief. Saying, well, that's just how it goes, that's a limiting belief. When you say that's just how it goes, you are just basically taking at what the situation is as it is and not fighting it, not challenging it, not trying to change it, especially for your own interest. So think about it. What beliefs might be holding you back? What beliefs might be making you not feel worthy or feel chosen? So once you have identified those limiting beliefs and gotten to know them a little better, the next step is actually learning to live with them out in the open, just like I'm doing right now. Because we can't overcome something that's hidden. Because here's the truth, because you can't overcome something that you're hiding. They're not going to go away overnight. They're not going to be gone next week either. So we have to learn to live with them, at least for a while, at least as we heal. For me, I've carried this particular belief for almost my whole life. I felt like a part of me for so long that I know it's going to take. Actually, I'm going to redo this whole entire section, because once you've identified a limiting belief and gotten to know it a little better, the next step is actually learning to live with it out in the open. You just don't forget about it. You don't just move on. You don't just heal like that. Unfortunately, that's not how the healing journey goes. You have to live with it out in the open. These deeply rooted ideas don't just disappear overnight. They won't be gone by next week either. So we have to learn to live with them, at least for a little while, at least while we heal. And that's where I'm at right now. I've carried this particular belief for almost my whole life. It's felt like a part of me for so long that I know it's going to take those small, deliberate micro actions every single day to truly let it go. And when I sat down with my therapist to work through this, and let me pause here, and I think I've said it already, but if you're struggling, please reach out for help. Whether it's a friend, a trusted family member, or your own therapist, don't sit in silence and suffer and believe that you are not meant for greatness, that you are not meant for more. It doesn't benefit anyone, especially not you. You are not a burden. And the people who love you, they want to help. You just have to give them the chance. Okay, little reminders over. So when I sat with my therapist, she said something that really stuck with me. And she said, "You've had a lot of people hurt you, Jordan. You've had a lot of people not show up for you. How are you going to show up for you? And how are you going to start choosing you?" I mean, the audacity of her to ask me that. That hit me so hard. It was honestly the kick in the ass that I needed. In order to work through this, I have to be the one to show up for me. I have to choose me. And I'll be honest, as an eldest daughter, as a Black woman, as just a woman, I did have this resistance at first because I keep choosing me. I keep showing up for me. And I'm fucking tired. But that's tough though, because we have to show up for ourselves. We have to choose ourselves because that is self-love and that is self-trust. And here's the thing about small steps. They do matter. These tiny actions help you build trust with yourself every time you choose you. Even in the smallest way, you're proving to your mind that it's safe to grow and safe to let go of old stories. So we have to show up for ourselves. Even for those of us that have been showing up for ourselves for so long, I know that you are tired. Trust me. I have been there. I am there. I am filming this at 8:40 p.m. and I am exhausted. I want to go to bed. But I'm going to continue to choose me and to show up for me. So I want to share a few small steps that I'm taking every day and why they matter to me. And I hope that they can inspire you to start to think of your own ways and own small steps that you can start taking so that you can start choosing yourself as well, or just starting to work through some of your own limiting beliefs. And the first is giving myself true solo time. This has become so important as someone who cares for 2 dogs and a tyrannical cat. I need a moment alone. I need time to not be speaking into a microphone. I need time to not be editing. I need time to not be on my phone. I need that time. And so giving myself true solo time for me has looked like going on a 3 to 5 mile walk at the end of my day. No dogs, not caring what time it is, but just getting out and going. Just me, because for so long, I have measured my worth by how useful I was to everyone else around me. And that's just a story I don't want to carry anymore. The next thing is carving out time for one free will activity. And what I mean by this is I am an adult and I work hard for the money that I have earned. And sometimes I need to exercise my free will. I need to not stick to the schedule. I need to not make sure my house is clean, make sure the podcast is ready to go. I need to do one silly goose thing that just brings me joy. There's nothing about it that's productive. It's just for joy. Because joy reminds me that I'm worthy of pleasure, not just productivity. So one of the things that I've recently done is I posted this, I think, on TikTok and on Instagram, but I painted a couple of frogs in my bathroom. I pay for this damn place. I wanted some frogs in my bathroom. I didn't want to pay for stencils. So I had some acrylic paint. I went into my bathroom and I painted 2 frogs above my little toilet paper thing and my little light switch. And they bring me so much joy. And I've had people over that also love them, that look at them and just laugh because they're just so fun. And they make no sense. They do not match the decor in my bathroom. But guess what? I don't care because it brings me so much joy to see them every morning. I switch on that light switch to start my day. Which leads into my third activity or third thing, which has actually been taking better care of my space and my environment. Because how I care for my surroundings reflects how I'm actually caring for myself. And I like to make sure that I'm having a safe space that makes my nervous system feel safe as well. So making sure that I am doing the dishes after every meal, I am vacuuming and doing all those day-to-day chores, but also, making sure that I have little touches of me throughout my apartment. I don't like my place to feel stale, so sometimes that does mean painting some frogs on the wall. Sometimes that does mean painting a mural on the other wall that is right here. If you're watching on YouTube and Spotify, you can't really see it yet because it's not done, but just taking care of my space for me. And lastly, this is no surprise to anybody, but journaling pretty much every morning. And I like to do this so I can stay connected to my thoughts, stay connected to my goals, and stay connected to what is going on within my body. And sometimes, I will say this, that old belief is going to creep back in. Because healing isn't going to be a straight line. It never will be. It is going to look like this. It's going to curve. It's like the Incredicoaster, actually. But the Incredicoaster has an ending. It's like the Incredicoaster from California Adventure, but there's no ending. It just keeps going upside down, going fast, going slow, having moments where you're like, what's going on? It's kind of like that because healing is never going to be a straight line. It's just not. And I'll be honest, when those limiting beliefs, when they pop up, I don't want you or myself to beat ourselves up. I want us to notice it. I want us to get curious. And I want us to remind ourselves of what we are doing to choose ourselves, what we are doing to overcome that belief. For me, with this limiting belief, I say I get to choose me again every day. I get to show up for me. And that's the work, showing up for yourself. Whether that's you have the limiting belief of being chosen, whether you have the limiting belief that lucky things don't happen to you or good things or success or whatever it is, when you are showing up for yourself every single day, you are deteriorating slowly that limiting belief a little bit every single day. Because imagine waking up one day and realizing that belief doesn't run the show anymore. It might whisper sometimes to you, but you get to say the final word. And the final word is this: freedom. We are building. We are doing something with our lives. We do believe that we deserve success. We do believe that we deserve love. We do believe that we deserve good things. And so when those whispers are coming out, I want you to hold up your middle finger and I want you to remind yourself that you do deserve those good things, that you do deserve happiness. So as you move through this week, I hope that you remember just this one thing. You are not your limiting beliefs. They're just old stories, stories that can be seen, questioned, and rewritten one tiny brave choice at a time. If you catch yourself shrinking back, doubting your worth, or hearing that old voice that says, not you, pause, breathe, and choose you again and again and again and again. Healing doesn't happen in a vacuum. You don't have to do this alone. And so, if you are craving a community of other women who are ready to dream big, set boundaries, rest when they need to, and build a life that feels good, I would actually love for you to join us inside my new community, which is called Soft Hustle Society. It's my new Discord space where you can connect with other listeners, share your wins, ask for support, and remind yourself that you're not in this by yourself. You can find the link down in the show notes. Come say hi, introduce yourself, and tell us what's one tiny way that you're choosing yourself this week. All right, friends, I'm rooting for you. Keep choosing you, keep dreaming big, and as always, keep taking up space. Kisses.